At 1:21 a.m., 239 people just vanished. No mayday, no explosion, no warning. A 300-ton Boeing 777, one of the most advanced machines we've ever built, just switched itself off and disappeared from civilian radar. But that's what they told us at first. It wasn't true. Military radar was watching the whole time. And what it saw that night turns a simple disappearance into something way darker. This plane didn't crash. It was stolen in mid-air. Let's go back to how normal it all started. March 8, 2014. Kuala Lumpur. Flight MH370. Headed to Beijing. A total red-eye routine flight. 227 passengers. 153 Chinese workers heading home. 38 Malaysians. A couple of toddlers. And 12 crew. In the cockpit, you've got two totally different guys. First Officer Farik Abdul Hamid, 27 years old, handsome kid, about to get married. This was actually his last training flight. Next flight, he'd be a full first officer. His dad, who was also a pilot, was incredibly proud. And then Captain Zaharie Ahmad Shah, 53, a legend. 18,333 flight hours, the guy other pilots called when they had a problem. He loved flying so much, he built a full professional flight simulator in his own living room with his own money. He had a YouTube channel where he'd teach people how to fly it. Everyone who knew him, his wife, his kids, his colleagues at Malaysia Airlines, they all said the same thing. Gentle, warm, helpful. The last person on Earth you'd ever suspect of anything. 12:41 a.m. The plane takes off into a perfect cloudless night. Clear skies, no turbulence, nothing. For 38 minutes, it's a textbook flight. At 1:19 a.m., they're at the edge of Malaysian airspace. The controller says, Malaysian 370. Contact Ho Chi Minh 120.9. Good night. And Zaharie comes back, calm as can be. Good night, Malaysian 370. Those are the last words anyone ever heard from that plane. Good night. But here's the creepy part investigators found later. That good night was set at 1:19:30. The ACARS system, which automatically sends engine data to the ground, had already been turned off at 1:07. 12 minutes earlier, someone in the cockpit had to physically flip switches to turn it off. A passenger can't do that. Someone said goodnight, knowing the plane was already going dark. 43 seconds later, at 1:21 a.m., the transponder dies. On the screen in Kuala Lumpur, the little green triangle that was MH370 just pops. Gone. The controller tries calling. No answer. He calls Vietnam. Hey, do you guys have MH370? Vietnam says, we don't see anything. So for the next 4 hours, while the plane is supposedly missing, 34 planes and 40 ships from 9 countries start searching the Gulf of Thailand. Right where the transponder died. It was all a waste. Pure theater. Because 200 miles away, in a military bunker, they knew exactly where it was. Military radar is different. It doesn't need a transponder. It just bounces radio waves off anything metal in the sky. And it saw MH370 turn. Not a gentle turn. A hard, aggressive, almost violent left turn, back towards Malaysia. A turn that would have thrown anyone not buckled in against the cabin wall. At 1:52 a.m., it flies directly over Penang Island. That's Zaharie's home state. Did he look down? Did he see the lights of his own hometown one last time? Then it does something even smarter. It flies up the Strait of Malacca, right along the exact border between Thailand and Malaysia. Right on the line. If you fly exactly on that line, neither country's military thinks you're their problem. Each one thinks you're the other guy's aircraft. That's not something a rookie knows. That's something a veteran with thousands of hours knows. At 2:22 a.m., it disappears from Malaysian military radar for good, heading out into the Indian Ocean. And the Malaysian government, they hid that radar data for 3 days. For 3 days, they let the whole world search the wrong ocean. While the world was searching in the wrong place, the families in Beijing were living through a real-life horror movie. Malaysia Airlines had put all 154 Chinese families in a hotel ballroom. And one woman does something out of desperation. She calls her husband's cell phone. He's on MH370, and it rings. It just rings. She calls again. It rings again. Soon, everyone is calling. And like 20 phones are ringing. Not going to voicemail, actually ringing. One father said his son's QQ chat app showed his son as online. Another relative claimed someone answered the phone and then immediately hung up. It created pure hysteria. Are they alive? Are they on some secret island? Are they hostages? The families begged the government to track the signals. It took 2 days for telecom engineers to explain the heartbreaking truth. It's called ghost ringing. When you call internationally, especially to a destroyed phone, your own carrier plays a fake ringing sound while it's trying to route the call across the world through satellites and undersea cables. The ringing you hear isn't their phone. It's just your phone company keeping you on hold. Those phones never rang. But imagine telling that to a mother who swears she heard her son's phone ring. On March 15th, a week after the plane disappeared, the Malaysian Prime Minister finally came clean. And the answer came from 22,000 miles above us. A British company, Inmarsat, owns a satellite called Inmarsat 3F1 over the Indian Ocean. Every hour, that satellite pings every plane with a SATCOM system, just asking, "Hey, you still there?" Even though everything else was off, MH370's SATCOM was still on. And for 7 hours after it vanished, it answered. 7 handshakes. 2:25 a.m., 3:25, 4:25, 5:25, 6:25, 7:25, and a final broken handshake at 8:19 a.m. The satellite couldn't tell where the plane was, but it could tell how far away it was by measuring the tiny delay in the signal. Each handshake drew a giant circle on the map of the Earth. When they analyzed the Doppler shift, that tiny change in frequency, they realized the plane was moving south. Fast. That last handshake at 8:19 a.m., that's the most important one. That's when the fuel ran out. Both engines flamed out. The plane's emergency power kicked in and tried to log back into the satellite one last time, and failed. That was the moment MH370 died. The math put the crash site deep in the southern Indian Ocean, west of Australia. One of the most remote, deep, and violent stretches of ocean on the entire planet. 1,500 miles from any land. So who did it? Police raided Zaharie's house. They took his home flight simulator. The FBI helped recover deleted files. And they found it. A month before the real flight, on February 3rd, Zaharie had flown a simulated flight on his simulator. He took off from Kuala Lumpur, flew north, made a hard left turn back over Malaysia, flew up the Strait of Malacca, and then flew deep into the southern Indian Ocean until he ran out of fuel. The endpoint of that simulated flight was less than 20 miles from where Inmarsat says the real plane crashed. You don't practice that for fun. No pilot does. The theory that the FBI and Australian investigators now believe is terrifying in its simplicity. At that perfect blind spot between Malaysia and Vietnam, Zaharie tells his co-pilot, "Hey, go check something in the cabin." Once Farik leaves, Zaharie locks the cockpit door. That door, after 9/11, is basically impenetrable. No one is getting back in. Then he puts on his pilot oxygen mask, which can last for hours, and depressurizes the entire plane. At 35,000 feet, you have about 15 seconds of useful consciousness. Passenger oxygen masks drop, but they only last 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, everyone outside the cockpit, 228 innocent people, would have quietly fallen asleep and never woken up. And then, alone in the silence, Zaharie flew for 7 more hours, making sure no one would ever find him. Why? There's no note, no manifesto. His family says he was a happy man with grandkids. His friends say it makes no sense. But the simulator doesn't lie. In July 2015, a piece of MH370, a flaperon, washed up on Reunion Island, 2,500 miles away. Since then, 33 pieces have been found. But the main wreckage, the black boxes, and the 239 souls on board are still down there, 3 miles deep in total darkness. MH370 didn't just crash, it was erased. Do you think it was the captain? Or is there something even darker that we still don't know? Let me know what you think in the comments.